Good soldiers follow orders. My impression of him. Yeah.
That's a good one. I like that.
Welcome back, everybody, to another happy landing. We're here. Before we get too far into it, thanks to the Movie Meal patrons, Steve, Kimberly, and Karen for supporting the show. Follow links down in the description. Like, subscribe, share, all that great stuff. Hit the bell so you get notifications every time we post. Go check us out on Letterbox, Twitter, all that stuff. All right. On today's episode for another happy landing, probably a bit shorter one. We're going to talk the most recent episode, part 1 of the finale of Bad Batch, and I finally caught up because it was a couple episodes back. And then could talk about the Bad Batch news, and then we'll just get into the final season of Star Wars Rebels, and then next week will be all movies outside of Mandalorian, which is basically one big movie. So let's start with Bad Batch. So Tanner, my guy, how'd you like that part 1 finale of Bad Batch?
Well, first, before we go there, you've caught up on the 2 episodes before that, correct?
Yeah, I'm caught up.
Okay. What did you think of those episodes? Because I remember last time we recorded, you still needed to watch those 2 episodes. Between Infested and War Mantle?
Yeah, I'm pulling them up so I can remind myself. I like Infested. I thought War Mantle was better because I liked it building up to this finale, but I liked them both. There was nothing too exciting about them, I thought, compared to what I liked for the finale. But
I really feel like War Mantle kind of picked things up, especially there towards the end, and also not to mention it's dropping those hints of like, oh, we're transitioning from clones and now we're going into troopers or stormtroopers. And then, what did you think of the armor of those TK troopers, as they're calling them?
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I think it's just funny the way the clones react to all of this stuff. Yeah,
I think it looks interesting, but like the little domed helmet that they have when they're walking around, it looks kind of off to me. But
yeah, I liked Rex sending out signals too. I thought that was fun. Anytime Rex is back, I like it.
Right.
But War Mantle's fun because it's set up for, it's like the epilogue to what we're about to get. Right. Or the prologue, excuse me. It's the prologue to what we were about to get. So let's move into the finale. So what'd you think of the finale part 1?
I loved it. Oh my God, did I love it. I mean, some of the things that were happening, I think I started to like do the like mental prediction in my head of like, oh, this is going to happen. I think this is going to happen. And I was pretty spot on with it, but still, even though it wasn't anything that like majorly, I think, surprised me or any by any regards, it's good Lord, was it a fun episode. I think really what ended up really selling it for me was a lot of the conversations that Hunter and Crosshairs also ended up having between each other. I'm really, really curious where that's gonna all end up going. And I mean, obviously, spoiler alerts at this point, but I mean, like, one of the big reveals I think with that was him saying that like, no, this is me. I had the inhibitor chip removed. And then they turn his head over, and then with the big scar, with the insinuation of like, oh, they caused him to get his inhibitor chip to be removed.
I wonder if that's a ruse. I wonder if that's just something that he was told to say. I wonder if the inhibitor chip is still in him, and the Empire was like, if anybody ever asks about a chip, we actually took yours out, so you're doing this on your. And I wonder if maybe it's a trick. Because I wonder if that mark is from that explosion, from the explosion of the fight from the earlier episodes.
It is. From when he got like burned and scarred from the Venator Star Destroyer going off.
Unless that damaged it, I guess. But I do think it's possible that it's a ruse and that they're going to remove it for this final episode.
my idea or impression is that it actually is a that did actually remove his inhibitor chip. And that the unfortunate thing is
Possible.
how the inhibitor chip operates is that it's basically already affected his mind at this point. It'll be, especially when they like really ramped up the inhibitor chip effects on him. And then once it got removed, it's basically just like, oh, the mind's already changed. Can't really do much about that
Yeah.
anymore. But I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I liked the finale. I liked going back to Camino. I liked her being like, "We'll just take the pod system," and they're like, "What?" And this whole pod comes up, and they're skirting around. But seeing like Camino, I liked the shots of showing us Camino empty, like the pods where we remember in episode 2 seeing like all the babies and everything being developed. I liked seeing all that, and it just shows how everything is really coming undone for them, and just how far the Caminos have fallen, because Clone Wars really builds them up not only as like a this unit that built this army, but they become a big name in politics, and now they're
Right.
nothing. And I really like the way they handle this. I love the conversations too about them talking about the Empire and what they stand for. I think it was really good. I'm curious to see what they do end up doing with Crosshairs moving forward. Um, I do think it's possible. So we'll transition a little bit into this. So they broke the news that Disney has renewed Bad Batch for season 2. And it got a lot of backlash because everybody was like, "You're going to do that before the finale, so now I know everybody lives." And I wonder if what's going to happen is Crosshairs doesn't live, but the team through this season ends up living. And I wonder if ends up being taken out by Hunter, or maybe
Hmm.
Omega, which would be kind of interesting if like he starts to attack and they can't do it. They can't bring themselves to kill him, but she does. And it's kind of her like step into becoming a soldier. But
Yeah.
I wish they wouldn't have announced that. Wait a week. Wait till next week to announce that after the finale.
Or just
Uh,
pull like a Loki thing where at the end of the episode you're like, the Bad Batch will be returning for season 2,
yeah, just
kind of
copy
a thing.
Marvel. I
Right.
mean, it's all your property, Disney.
Right.
New Bob, it's all yours.
Uh but I mean, I still am wondering if I feel like there's something really big that's going to be happening next episode that we're still not seeing or are prepared for. Uh, just because I mean, what was it? There was an interview with the composer that was doing the music for this one, and he was like, the finale like had me straight up in tears. Uh,
Wow, that gets me
and
hyped. I
I
didn't know that.
know, and like ever since I saw that interview, I'm like, oh my god, what could happen?
Who's the composer?
Oh gosh, I don't remember the name.
I'm gonna look it up.
Bad Batch composer Kevin Kinner
What
is
has he
his name.
done?
Let's look it up.
Bad
People
Batch.
also search for Danny Elfman. Oh no, this is just taking me to the Bad Batch
So he
episode.
did Star Wars Rebels. He did CSI Miami. He did Narcos. Jane the Virgin. Making a Murderer. He did work on. He was a writer for a little bit, so he's got some cred behind him. Some Star
Oh, for
Trek.
sure.
I like what I'm seeing here. A little bit of anime work. Titans. Yeah, I like the score for Bad Batch. I think it's been really good.
The score for Bad Batch has been amazing. There's actually there's like one or two pieces that actually almost have this like I know you haven't played this game, but it almost has this like Halo Reach feel to it. That I
Oh, but I
really
know
really
I
like.
know a lot of the Halo themes that I've heard.
Right.
I probably can't recognize I might recognize it individually, but I know from what I've heard from the Halo series, it's good stuff. Uh, but
It's
yeah,
he kills it. But dude, I gotta be honest. I think the one I felt a lot of, specifically going off of what you particularly said, Alex. The I felt a lot of melancholy actually as they showed shots of all of Tapoka City, and
yeah,
we saw the cloning facilities empty, we saw the mess hall, we saw the base
that's
of
the shots I
operations.
liked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd like we saw that and I was like, oh my god, like they're really. I think it's a twofold thing. It's like one, it's showing like this is done and over with now. We're moving on into new territory. Uh, but I think the other thing that just really kind of like took me by surprise was how much it. I felt like it affected me, just because not only between what we see in 1, 2, and 3 of Camino, but also, well, actually, I don't think they don't go to Camino in episode 3 or 1, but between Clone Wars and episode 2, I have a lot of like Star Wars imagery conjured up in my head, specifically of some of those shots that they have. It's a place that I
Yeah,
feel like I've spent a lot of time in the Star Wars universe,
yeah,
and then to oh my god, one of my favorite things of the episode is they finally brought some of the Star Destroyers in and actually issued like a low atmosphere bombardment on the Topoka City, and oh my
yeah.
god, it was horrifying but also
I
cool at the
liked it
same
too, and I
time.
liked them pulling the line from episode 4 of him saying, "You may fire when ready." I mean, that was just straight up our boy.
Yeah,
Uh, and I'm not as good at the ships as you are, but like it looked like that was the Star Destroyer was like a cross between what the Republic had and what they transitioned to, which is I really liked because it was just cool seeing that transition. It's nice. This sounds weird, but it's nice in Star Wars getting the moments that like are the actual peril of the Empire, seeing
right.
what they've done to the Kaminoans and how they've struggled because they were at the height and then they're completely destroyed and obliterated, and who knows what's going to happen to our boys who are now stuck in a ship that or a structure that's sinking into water. It
I
wasn't too long ago before Obi-Wan Kenobi was fighting Jango Fett right there.
maybe hopefully they can get back to their platform. That's a ways out from Topoka City, but we'll see about
Yeah.
that one.
Well, they said send a signal to Rex, but we never see her do that. They're like go back to the ship
Mm.
and send a signal to Rex, but I wonder if she still did.
Oh,
And I wonder
okay.
if she sent it off and maybe that's how they get off world is that Rex shows up to find them and help them.
That could be.
Um but that's my thought anyway, but
It's funny that you actually bring up specifically like the transition from the Empire or from the Republic to the Empire. Those Star Destroyers, those 3 Star Destroyers that they actually had up there, were the Venator class Star Destroyers from the Clone Wars that we're used to. Now,
yeah.
the big difference that we see in this one is that they are stripped, like in Episode 3, they're completely stripped of their Republic paint, that like bone, bone white and the strip of red, and now they're
Yeah.
just purely gray. But dude, it shows you entirely of like the difference that you can get in just lighting that makes that gives you
I
the
was going to say
impression
that
of
too,
it.
yeah.
Like,
The
oh my
lighting.
god, we from Clone Wars we get these awesome shots of these Venators just coming into atmosphere and being super heroic because the way that they're lit. And then all of a sudden we come in this one, they're covered in clouds, there's lightning around them, there's hardly any light on them. It's almost like a kaiju that's coming out of the smoke
Yeah.
to just blast apart this city. Oh god, I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Uh Do you have any more thoughts on the finale, or should we transition to Rebels?
Um think one of my favorites since and I know I said this for War Mantle, but probably one of my favorites since the first episode.
Yeah,
Um
I agree.
and I don't know where well, I'm really curious as to what your thoughts are. What do you think about a season 2? Are you excited about a season 2, or is it just kind of one of those things where you're like, man, I really would have been okay if they had just done one season.
It depends how this episode ends. If this episode ends and it feels like, we're gonna go because I don't want season 2 to be them working for Sid the whole time. I want there to be like legit consequences and things happening like what's happening here. Maybe it's something, maybe a bounty hunter's going after him. I don't know. So it just depends on how this. Right now, I'm open to it. I'm not leaning one way or the other. I just want to see what happens in this finale. I don't know how long the finale is. Maybe the finale is like closer to 40 minutes or 45 minutes than it is, and we get like a real long episode to sink our teeth into.
Right.
Um, and maybe they set it up nice. Maybe they don't. Maybe they all die and it's actually not Bad Batch season 2, it's just Omega season 2, and she just goes off learning. But and if they do a season 2, I'd be more open to a time skip and seeing how Omega is maybe farther into the rebellion, and maybe they
Right.
join the rebellion and we didn't know that.
Turns out
Or
Omega's
maybe
Mon Mothma.
they're all connected. It's all connected. I don't think Filoni would do something too cuckoo, but so it just depends. Just
It does bum
depends.
me out because I'd love to see. I really wish something like Omega actually existed in some of the later canon, like in Rebels or other Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It
And I would like to see her, and maybe she shows up in the Ahsoka show. Maybe they have a weird connection there somehow, and they bring Ahsoka in. It's a
That'd be
Dave
cool.
Filoni thing to do.
I'd also be perfectly content if these guys like I think if I was a betting man, I feel like this goes full Rogue One at some point for us, that everyone dies.
Yeah.
But and I would like that ending too. Maybe except for like Omega. I don't think they would ever axe Omega.
Imagine if they just kill Omega next episode.
Oh,
And everybody's freaking out because it's like, I wanted to, I didn't want it I don't want to go into the finale knowing the Bad Batch survived, but then it's like, we did that on purpose
oh.
to make you really get hurt when Omega croaks. I don't think Omega will croak, but
No, I don't think she
um,
will.
I want to ask you real quick.
Yeah.
I forgot that this came out a couple days ago, but we have to hard cap this episode today because I got to pee somewhere soon. But there were rumors that Lucasfilm has cast Ezra Bridger and Admiral Thrawn for the Ahsoka show. Have you seen
Yes.
these?
I remember seeing the Ezra casting. I don't think I saw the Thrawn casting.
The Thrawn casting would be Lars Mikkelsen, so
That
the
makes
guy who plays him.
right.
And then the other one is Mina Masood, I think is how you say his name. He played Aladdin in the live action Aladdin.
Yeah.
I think he is a talent. I like the new live action Aladdin a lot. So I would be very much, it's not perfect. It's not better obviously than the first, but it actually is kind of fun
Right.
for their live action remakes. And I thought he was really good. And I think he being Ezra Bridger would be perfect casting. He's a good age. He's in his mid 20s, so he could play this Ezra should be in his mid to late 20s. That's where he would be, and he could play him for years to come, and they could move him around if people respond really well. So if that's true, I'm all on board with that casting. I think that's great. A great choice. What do you think?
No, I completely agree with you. I know what maybe this is just me, but I know I kind of had my heart set on Raul Coley. Now that's also because I think that's also because I follow Raul Coley, and I just love that guy. I think he's exceptionally funny. But so I just kind of had that thing in my head of like, oh, I really want it to be him. That'd be great if it could be. But then I don't know. It's once he was announced, I was like, no, I really like this casting as well. Am I bummed that it's not my boy? Yes, but I also think that this guy is absolutely going to slay it. Because like, if I'm being honest, when I first saw the trailer and saw Ezra Bridger, my first thought was like, oh, they're doing Aladdin in space. So I think it works. I
think he'd be a great choice. We still need a live action casting for Sabine. We haven't had that either. Right? Because she's not actually in Mandalorian. We all thought she was going to show up and she didn't. But anyway, all right, we should move on to Rebels with our last little bit here.
Final season 4.
Season 4. So good. Let's just go episode by episode here. Heroes of Mandalore Part 1 and 2. Love them. Elite. Anything that has the words Mando, whether it's Mandalorian, Mandalore, Mandos, I'm in. If you got a man somewhere in there, I'm good to go. That's basically what that says. I love it. I have to remember a lot of these episodes because it's
been
like
a while.
Month and a half since I finished it.
In the Name of the Rebellion, I thought was there was some interesting connections that we get to episode 4 and so on, but I thought they were acceptable. They
I
weren't.
think they're fun.
They didn't blow my minds by any regards. Although I did think it was pretty cool when, especially like the opener of the episode's like, oh, where's Hera at? Oh, she should be returning from the raid. All of a sudden, we see a bunch of like Y-wings like barreling in on fire. It's like, oh,
That's such a Star Wars moment, though. That is Star
yeah,
Wars done right. It's like episode 3 with them crashing the ship. But yeah, I think in the Name of Rebellion is fun. All these episodes are really building. It's like, hey, enjoy these characters because we're gonna rip your heart out. And when you watched it on Disney XD back in the day, um, you just don't think of that because it's episode weekly episodes, so it's just like,
right.
oh, it's just kind of chill episodes. I think I'm gonna get 24, and then all of a sudden you're at 15 and you're crying. Um, but I think those are good. I think Occupation is fine. Um, Flight of the Defender is good. We're starting to get more Thrawn.
That one was good. And then we get Kindred, where Rook finally gets introduced.
Yeah.
Which I was always very happy that they. Two things. I was always happy that they introduced Rook, because he's in the Nogri, or specifically from the Thrawn books. My only complaint that I have about that is I feel like they turned this what in the book was a really interesting character, and they just kind of turn him into
A
like
mindless creature.
just a mindless assassin.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that kind of bums me out because he plays him and his species play a really pivotal role in the treatment of their species play a pivotal role in the books, and I really like what they do with them in the books. But I mean, still cool that we get the introduction of him. I wonder if he would ever actually end up coming back for like the Ahsoka series or anything.
That
But
would be
anyways,
interesting. A live action version would be interesting.
yeah. Crawler Commandeers. I actually, strangely enough, this was actually one of the episodes that that really kind of stuck out for me, and I actually really enjoyed it. It just felt very Star Wars to me.
Yeah, it's a fun one. I would agree. But then your heart is about to get ripped out.
Oh my
Because
god!
9, Rebel Assault, is the setup for the incredibly titled episode Jedi Knight. I love that title. I love that it's night spelled like the night time and not like an actual night, because I think it's just Dave Filoni being smart and playing on words that this is not going to be a good episode and it is going to cast darkness over our heroes. And this is spoilers. It's the episode Kanan dies. Kanan Jarrus, Caleb, dies. And it is heart-wrenching because he goes in and saves everybody. And after he finally says, you know what, I'm not a real Jedi. I'm not going to hold those true values anymore. I'm going to tell Hera that I love her. I want to be with her. They say that. We'll get to what happens that we don't get any real, some
Indication
stuff
of.
Happens, Mr.
Yes.
Kanan Jarrus. You rebel.
Turning back on some of them Jedi codes I see.
Yes, sir. But it is one of, it might be, when we get back to our top, we do top 5 moments after this, that Jedi Knight might be one of those episodes. It's that freaking good. And I forgot I remembered the episode. I remember him dying, but I just remember loving the finale so much and how intense the finale is. And then I forget how incredible this episode is. He's got a cool new haircut. He cuts his hair, shaves the beard off.
Hera's like, the first thing that gets said, you shave the beard. Huh.
Yeah.
It's really funny actually having Hera. She's still kind of like coming off of being drugged up by the Empire during that whole like escape bit, and then it's really kind of that like fun jaunt like back and forth, and then boom, they just rip your heart out. My god.
The two of them, honestly, especially in those moments, might be the closest thing to a Han and Leia kind of banter and the way they act with each other, closer than anybody else over Anakin and Padme, Rey and I guess Ben.
Right. Even with normally this is a complaint of mine that I would throw out there. Being, I feel as though that in Jedi Knight they really kind of broadcast that what's happening in that particular episode. There's enough like stuff that's happening throughout it that I don't know. I feel like it's just giving hints of like, oh, I'm like, I'll may the force be with you guys, and the way that he delivers that one, and I think he gives another line of I don't remember in particular, but just like talking to Ezra and other people, it's like, hey, you're good people. You're a good person. I hope you remember that one.
Yeah,
Um, even though normally I wouldn't be as crazy about that, there's something that about it that I feel like just really works in this particular episode. Also, not to mention, I think that Kanan does know that he's seen his death and he knows exactly what's going
I
to be
think
coming.
he sees it too, and I think he does what the Jedi should do when he sees something like that. He doesn't give in to fear and hate like Anakin. He he says, "Okay, if this is my journey, then this is my journey, and I'm just going to cherish the moments." And it's just such a great. It's one of the best like it's an episode as heart wrenching as that I would go back and rewatch because it's so much of what Star Wars is.
Right.
But following Jedi Knight, we go into Doom. Um, we get a lot of the just that whole episode is pretty much the reactions to what happens to
Mm-hmm.
Kanan. Because don't they that episode starts with them coming back to see Zed, right? Because he doesn't go on the mission with him.
End of the episode. End of
Is that
Jedi
the
Knight
end of it? Okay,
is
that's
when
right.
they show up and then everybody walks out and then Ezra delivers the news.
Because that's
Uh
heartbreaking.
oh, and then Doom is really them is really
Dealing.
dealing with all of that for sure.
And I like Dune. So in season 3, we get Kanan using the Bendu to wipe out a lot of everything that's happening.
Mm,
Uh, and then Bendu's gone; he vanishes, and we kind of get a replacement with the Loth Wolves, who have been around, but they haven't necessarily been as prominent in terms of Force things. And it does, I think, at times feel a little bit like a cop out. It's like we got rid of our wise thing for them, so we have another version of it. But
right.
what I really like about it, and this comes in episode 12 and 11, is when he talks to, is it Chaos? Is that what he called himself? He's like, I'm Chaos when he talks to the giant wolf.
Oh, something like that. I don't remember I don't even remember him like giving a name, to be completely honest. But
I thought it was something like that, or that I can't fully remember. But what I like about what Dave Filoni does here that what JJ didn't do is JJ just had when all those spirits are talking to him, it's all these Jedi nobody had ever heard of because he just wanted to include them, and
mm-hmm.
they're included and they can communicate with the Force, which Qui-Gon in Clone Wars says this is really hard. My training was incomplete. I didn't finish, and this is about as good as I can do. And it's only a handful of those who end up being able to go past that. Anakin's able to do it. Yoda, Obi-Wan. I like that Kanan never even gets a whiff of this training as possible, but he's so powerful in the Force that he's still able to influence a little bit of life through these wolves and kind of finish his mission. And I really like that. I wish the Loth
Yeah.
Wolves just would have been maybe handled a little better throughout the whole from start to finish from season 1 episode 1 all the way through, because they kind of pop in other spots but not as much. Like I wish they were more of the owls that we get in Clone Wars, and we get them in this, but I kind of wish it was a little bit more with
Kind of like a
the
distant
wolves.
spirit guide kind of a thing.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I do like when he realizes, because Ezra's just terrified, he's giving in, he's giving up, and then he realizes that this is Kanan talking to him, that Kanan is the wolf, and he needs to finish the mission. But do you have any thoughts on those episodes?
I completely agree. I for the most part, there's some moments with the wolves I feel like are handled really well. And there are some moments that I'm like, okay, that feels a little far.
I think it's like I love them in Doom, and then like in Wolves and Adore when they're riding them and they become like fighters, it's like, okay, that's a little much.
Yes. It almost. I need to find the right way to phrase this one, but sometimes they almost come across as like Uh, the furry spirit animal kind of a
Yeah.
thing. And I mean, nothing wrong with that if you're into that, but it's just they kind of, there's some moments where it's like, man, you almost ventured into just like not cringe territory, but just like, I don't know,
Yeah.
something feels off about it.
What I
Uh,
like that George and Dave do though with the owls, with the wolves, what they're trying to do is base it off of Japanese samurai lore. You know, the spirit animal that guides your quest, or even further back than that. Like I just saw the movie The Green Knight. You can go check that review out. You know, that's an Arthur tale, and you
mhm.
know, there's a spiritual guide in that, or there's a guide. You know, in all those old tales, whether it's a fox or a wolf or an owl or a bird or you know, it's something like that. I like what they're going for. They just sometimes miss the mark making a kids show.
Right.
But overall, I think it works really well.
Wolves are cool and people like wolves. And I'll admit that I actually really like the design of the Loth wolves.
I
They're
do too.
big and they change them just enough that they do actually give them almost like an alien design to them, and I
I
really
think they
enjoy
have
that.
a very Princess Mononoke vibe to them. Is
Yeah.
what they
Yeah, yeah.
really come across as, which is what I really, really appreciate about Dave Filoni. But let's move to A World Between Worlds because I've been waiting for this day.
Oh,
Um, so this episode now, can you remind me? He goes into the temple again, doesn't he, to get there? Doesn't he go into the Jedi temple that they thought had gotten destroyed, or did they destroy it
so
here? I can't remember because it's been a minute.
there's an emperor's it's like one of the emperor's agents or whatever who's been studying the art of this of
Mm-hmm.
the Mortis gods, which
I remember him. Yeah.
thought that was a really
Oh,
cool.
that's right. He turns the thing. The wolves align. I remember
Right.
now. Okay, I'm
He
with you.
touches it, all of their hands move for reasons that we don't know at that point. The wolves start to exit out, walk around the circle, and he exit through it. And they try to follow him, but they can't.
I did like the connection to the dad and the son and the daughter. I did like that, and I don't. Again, I bring it back to Clone Wars. I like those episodes a lot, but I don't overwhelmingly love them because I think it gets a little much. Where it's like these characters act like they're the gods of the Force, and
Mhm.
I didn't like that so much because I like the Force not being like a god thing. I like the wills, but I don't like one central monolithic type view of it. But I think they handle it pretty solid. But I like the connection with the hands moving, and that they still influence parts of the galaxy. But when he goes into that world, it is one of the most beautiful moments of Star Wars history. It is just so freaking good, and you can tell JJ never watched these shows because if he did, he might have been like, maybe that's a direction I should go in, trying to take some of that stuff from Clone Wars. Could you
Right.
imagine if in Rise of Skywalker the way Ray saves Ben or something happened just because one of them went to Lothal and went to the world between worlds. Could you imagine what it would feel like as a fan of Rebels, a deep Star Wars fan, to be like, oh my God, they're doing it. And then all the casual fans are like, that looks so cool and pretty. And it's like, well, not even a JJ original,
Right. Right. Oh, that. No,
which
like,
most of his movie wasn't.
I'm
But
really bummed out that they never did that one because that's one of those. That is, I remember watching that for the first time and thinking, "Oh my god! If we ever see this I need to see this in live action. It
yeah,
just looks so incredible."
it looks so good. I half the time you're like, is this live action? And then it's
Yeah,
not. And it's like, imagine if you give it an Avengers budget behind this right now.
right.
Um, But
I
so he
just imagine
goes,
it's almost like someone walking across. I almost imagine like a Tron Legacy, as
yeah.
like walking across the platform that's lit on the sides, and it's nothing but stars around you, or we even see people walking on the curved sections as they walk on down. Oh man, would have
Yeah,
loved it.
it's awesome. But so he goes there and he doesn't know where he's at. He doesn't understand it. Ezra just happens to be in here, and then the owl is there. And I like that the owl guides him to a specific door, and he starts to realize that this is time he's dealing with. And then he sees the fight with Ahsoka, and he pulls her out. And I remember her pulling her out. I always remember it was like he saves her, and then when we rewatched that season, we get the revelation that he actually never saved her. Ahsoka never died. That she is
Right.
seen walking away, and now it makes so much sense because that's where she gets dropped when she runs from the Emperor. she drops to that spot. She doesn't fall there. I mean, she falls there, but you know what I mean?
Right, right,
Uh,
right, right.
but I like that they have that conversation of Ahsoka being like, look, I'm now in this place that I don't understand, but I can tell you what I do know is that we shouldn't mess with the flow of time. And that Kanan sacrifice, and because they have that whole conversation about Kanan, and I really like those moments in storytelling when a hero has an opportunity to save someone he loves, and he comes. It's like it's exactly how he doesn't fall. You know, it's what Anakin
Yeah,
didn't do. Because if Anakin was there, he would have stopped himself from killing Padme. You know, if he went to that place, he would stop himself, and it would change everything about what we know. And I like when Ahsoka's like, "Look, you can't do this." I also like that it shows that the Emperor is so powerful he can actually talk to them, and he can't get them yet, but he can attack them. He's so powerful he can open a portal and still attack them. It's insane to
with
me.
with force fire. Oh my god.
Yeah, we get the introduction of that. It's just, I think that whole sequence is so awesome. Them choosing not to hit Ezra saying, I understand what the Jedi mean now, what this means to let go. And then he runs, they run, they're free, and then it's just you get kind of the old school John Williams theme at the end, I remember, and it's like, all right, now is the hope. Like that was our new hope. Now let's go save the world. Like that's
Yeah.
the feeling it is.
I'm really happy you brought up the you had brought up the Kanan or Ezra approaching Kanan or sorry, Ezra seeing Kanan in that particular moment. In the first instinct of him is, I can save him. This can be the moment that I can bring him back. But really, that's just it's those moments that I do love. It's such a Star Wars moment as he has to come to the realization of, no, this is what needs to happen. As much
Yeah,
as I love and want to save this person, I can't stop this. There's
yeah,
just no getting around it. And that's such a big that self actualization that occurs in characters in Star Wars, or just, I mean, even classic storytelling as a whole. Always love those moments. Great moments.
yeah. So we move then to A Fool's Hope and Family Reunion and Farewell, which feels like a part one and two to me because they just go
Hmm.
together so well. But um, Fool's A Fool's Hope, they go and they fight the wolves. I mean, it's just a big battle, and Ezra goes to the Emperor. He gets caught and he goes there, right? I want to make sure I'm remembering everything
I'm
correctly.
I'm scrubbing through the episode real quick. Oh, right at the beginning of it, we think that the one guy is giving the rebels locations up because he's turning
Yes,
to the
the
Empire.
mayor, the
The
mayor.
mayor. Mm-hmm.
I like all that. It's a classic Star Wars twist. We got you moment.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
take over, and then Ezra it gets stuck with the real quick though, because I'm looking at it. The thumbnail on Disney Plus. I'm so glad they picked that because it was one of the best shots I think I've ever seen in Star Wars when he ignites the lightsaber and as the light starts to illuminate him, you see the wolves in the background start to be illuminated. It is a scary shot. It is so cool. Like if they have cast a live action Ezra and he does show up, I low key kind of hope like he's riding a big wolf. Like how cool would that be if one of the wolves
That'd be
like
pretty badass.
found him and like he bonds with him like a like Ash and Pikachu style or like a Princess Mononoke thing, and he's
Yeah.
like riding a wolf into battle with a lightsaber. That would be so cool.
Oh, I'd love that.
Um, but that
I'm at,
episode's great. Ezra does the Jedi thing. He says, "Look, this is what he wants. This is my hero's moment. I'm gonna go to the Emperor," and then Thrawn takes him right there to the Emperor. Um,
yeah,
I love it.
in the next episode. Oh my god, it's a good one. This, let me think.
Yeah.
This one ends just with them being like, uh, okay, we beat the governor. Now it's off to the next one. But dude, I know we got a hard cap here. But
It's all right. We
man,
got a little bit of wiggle room.
the moments that we get with Thrawn rolling up on the city, deactivating the shields, he starts just blasting everyone and puts our heroes in like a real lose-lose situation. I'm all about it. Only complaint that I have with the episode, still not crazy about the space whales. That might just be me.
I didn't hate him as much as I thought I would because I remember being like, "Ugh, I'm not big on these space whales," but I kind of dig them. I like that they pull them. That's what that's I think a cool way to get them to the Outer Rim. It's like,
Mm,
okay, he summons these whales that he know will pass and listen to this signal. They grab the ship, they take him away. I love Ezra meeting the Emperor face to face, really, and talking and going through kind of the parts of that temple, and he sees his parents, and he has another Jedi moment, and he doesn't. I don't think he does as well if he doesn't have that moment an episode or two episodes prior with Ahsoka, where he
yeah.
talks about how he can't. His parents are gone. There's nothing he can do. He's not going to give in to temptation. And I also like. We don't talk about this enough. I like that the Emperor, because we talk about how the Emperor wants Luke to strike Vader down or strike him down and become his new apprentice. And the Emperor is, when you are a Sith Lord, you're always looking for something to be more powerful. So Ezra's really powerful, and I'm not sure he's going to grow up to be more powerful than Darth Vader.
Hmm.
But the Emperor is seeing that this is something I want. Become my apprentice. Become work under me, and you will gain more power than you've ever had. I like that the Emperor continues to do that. He never stops trying. He doesn't go after Luke necessarily because Luke's just a Jedi that showed up. He goes after Luke because he's just pure power, and he's more powerful actually than his dad, especially at his dad's age. And
Right.
he's like, this guy can be my new apprentice. Um, but yeah, family reunion and farewell. When the space whales do take him, and it ends with Ahsoka in the cloak, Sabine. They skip. Is it 3 years? They do a time skip. Isn't it 3 years later?
No, longer than that actually, because
I thought it was three.
this takes place before the events. The time skip is all the way to after the Battle of Endor.
But I didn't think they were that far from the Battle of Endor at the end of season 4. Are they
No,
that far?
yeah, because I mean we haven't even gotten to A New Hope yet.
Yes, you're right. I forgot about that.
Uh,
Is
the
it a
one
5 year difference?
I think it's a 5 or 6 year difference, something like that.
Mm.
I need to look up. I'm sure that someone's. Well, actually, no. I remember looking this one up before we even started Rebels and saying that there's kind of a muddy period of like how long some of that ended up being. Anywho, um, man, once we get to the jump, the only one thing that I thought was funny is like they get done, everyone's celebrating on Lothal. The Empire is effectively gone. They've blown up their like main command center. All like everyone's so happy that this has happened in Lothal. In the back of my mind, every single time I watch that episode, and then 2 weeks later, the Empire showed up and glassed the planet with 7 Star Destroyers.
It's
uh,
true.
but I mean, they have the thing of like, and the Empire never came back, and it was all fine. I mean, granted, I think some of that is like you could justify that as like the Empire had some bigger fish to fry at the time. Uh,
Yeah. So I looked it up. So it's 5 years later,
okay,
and it takes place right as all that happens because Hera and Rex fight. I do love that Disney confirmed that old guy with the white beard is now Rex. I love
it's so
that.
good. It's so good.
Um, but so it ends with we get Kanan, the reveal that Kanan was not super faithful, which I actually do like that kind of twist because it little kids don't realize what's going on, but as an adult you go, okay, he did, he was never really a Jedi. He didn't necessarily consider himself a Jedi Knight, so it's fine, but it shows how when Hera's upset, it like hits way harder. When you get to that and you realize that when he died, she was pregnant, and part of the reason he protected her is because he knew she was pregnant because he probably could sense the life form. And it hits hard. So her having a child, I think, is really really interesting, and it could play into the live action show. Could you
Yeah,
imagine like Ahsoka meeting, like maybe Hera has passed now, and it's like a teenage daughter of what do you remember the name? Did they give a name to the daughter? It was a daughter, wasn't it?
I thought it was a son, but
It might have been.
I'm pretty sure that they gave a
Did they name
name.
him Kanan?
Is it James? No, it starts with a J. I remember that one.
Is it
Who
Jairus?
is Kanan's son?
It is a son. Hera gave birth
Jason.
to her and
Jason
Kanan's
Syndulla.
son Jason Sedula. That's right. And then okay, so Ezra's gone with Thrawn. He's somewhere in in the Outer Rim. He's in deep space where you're not supposed to venture too far into, because there's all those crazy cloud things. You have to have the perfect map to get through to go to Exegol. It's all ridiculous. Exegol sucks.
Uh,
Anyway, but I like that the show ends with hope. It ends in such a Star Wars way. It ends with he's not dead. We're gonna go find him. So it's
yeah.
Ahsoka in her classic white cloak with Sabine talking about how she will find him. I love that the 5 years later opens with Sabine in the tower, that the first episode opens with Ezra in that tower from season one. Because I remember it fades 5 years later, we see Lothal in the distance, and it's her up there with the voiceover talking about Ezra. I love it. I think it's a great moment for Star Wars. And I really hope if this Ahsoka show is playing off of Rebels, I hope it's not, we've already found Ezra, and now we're going to go get him again. I hope it's really, we have not found him in all this time. I guess it hasn't really been that long, right? What's
hmm
it been? Because Mandalorian takes place 5 years after episode 5, doesn't it? Or episode 6,
Episode
excuse
6.
me.
Is it 5 or 10 years? I think you might be
I'm
right with 5.
I'm pretty sure it's 5, but that means it would be 10 from Rebels because it's 5 years later for them. But we see the celebration that the Empire has fallen in Rebels, so it would have been 10 years, which lines up for Ahsoka. So Sabine's, if they've been looking for him for 10 years, and I just hope Ahsoka, like in the first episode, is like, I've got to go. Sabine's been looking for him. I took a break to find this information, met Mando. Now I'm going to go back to Sabine. I hope that's what it is. And I hope that first season is them kind of finding him and then
Right.
it ending with them finding him. And it would be crazy if, like, he's gone kind of Maul-like he kind of goes a little psycho because he's been trapped in the outer world, the outer rim for so long that he's like, he doesn't remember if he's good or evil. So he just attacks Ahsoka when she shows up, or he's got a wolf pack and he's leading them. That would be so cool. I would
I
love a
think
Princess Mononoke thing with Ezra Bridger. That'd
it
be
would be
so cool.
so cool if we actually got to have if he did fall to the or maybe not even fall to the dark side, but I mean, like, he is lost in the Force, and we got a really interesting arc with
Yeah,
Ezra as of him struggling with the back and forth. I mean, not that other characters or every single major character that we have in Star Wars doesn't have the struggles of, like, going back and forth between the light and the dark. I just think that what we've seen with Ezra in particular, he has had a lot of draw to the dark side and also dark side tendencies, but he's still a
yeah.
good person. So
And he ends Rebels being not falling for him, not
right,
listening to the Emperor. So it would be a little bit of a heel turn if he just was bad. What if he's like he is everybody's wet dream of a great Jedi? Like, what if he literally is like, what if Dave Filoni is saying, look, I'm going to do what they tried to do with Luke, and I'm going to do
mm,
it where everybody's obsessed with it because the name wouldn't be Luke, so everybody would be happy. If that's the only difference, if that was a different master and it wasn't Luke Skywalker, I think most people would like that arc. But if Ezra was like, look, the problem with the Jedi is they got too involved, and the problem with the Sith is they get too involved, so I've stayed out of it. I haven't gone looking for you guys because I know that more lightsabers is a problem.
I guess in my head, because he gets I thought someone confirmed that they get lost in the unknown region of
Yeah,
the galaxy.
that's how far to the
And
outer rim they go, don't they? Because that's
uh
the outer rim, isn't it? Isn't that the far, far, farthest you can go of the galaxy?
I think the unknown region is, so I mean, it's basically like you've got the core worlds that are right here, you've got the the inner rim, outer rim, or mid rim, then outer rim, and then I think on this side over, if this
It's
is the
the
unknown
unknown.
region, where like the heart of the galaxy exists, where like Coruscant
Mm,
and whatnot. I think they're on the other side of that. It's basically like the
okay.
uncharted territories.
What if the whales took them to a different universe and they're opening up the multiverse? Ezra Bridger's Mephisto.
Woo!
I've cracked it. I've cracked it.
He's got the code. Disney, hire this man.
Where's my contract, Disney? I won't sue you.
Oh man, uh, I have to wonder if it, like, I like the idea of that because he goes from being this incredibly good being to basically being alone and constantly surround. I'm guessing that Thrawn and Ezra have to like be around each other in order to live.
Because the whales pull the ship.
Yes.
Do you think there's just troopers with them? Like it's a colony? Because
Oh,
all the people who
100%.
are on that ship were just. Could you imagine if they're just all dead? It would be interesting if they became like hermits together, or maybe the ship got separated. I don't know, but exploring the unknown regions in an Ahsoka show is going to be a lot of fun. If it's Sabine and Ahsoka going around exploring, trying to find Thrawn, and clearly Thrawn has somehow made contact back, right? Because somebody knows where he is. Because in
Yes.
Mandalorian, she says, "Where is Thrawn? You know where he is." So he has come back into the fold, but maybe Ezra hasn't.
Yeah, that's kind of where my mind has been going. It's like Thrawn somehow made it back in, and she's made it back into the galaxy,
Yeah,
or the mapped regions, and she's trying to seek him to be like, where is he? Why isn't he with you? I mean, obviously he's not dead, but
you know what I
I
hope they don't do,
hmm,
and I don't think Dave Filoni would do this, but I hope the unknown regions isn't like it's going to be Ezra on like an Earth planet where it's like literally Earth and he's in like our world and it's like okay, this is Earth is just that unadvanced that we're the unknown regions to the rest of the galaxy. I hope that's not something stupid. Like that's
no,
something they would do in the EU kind of novels sometimes, and I hope that's. I don't think Dave will do that, but that came into my
no.
head, and that would be so cringy. Like him waking up like Captain America, and he's in New York, looking around at all the signs.
I
He's got
think
a
I
lightsaber.
if I had an idea of what I think they might do if they actually do try to go into the unknown regions, is they almost make it a little bit more Star Trek
Mystical.
like,
Mm.
where
They're
I
just
mean,
exploring planet to planet.
kind of going from planet to planet, we get these like really crazy worlds that we get to explore.
Yeah,
Leaning heavier on the exploration side, not so much the philosophical side that Star Trek does, but so it'd be a really fun one romp through. Like we get to see these just really crazy and unknown worlds, but also two, a really fun exploration of the Force is what I could imagine.
yeah.
Uh,
I wonder if because I know Dave Filoni has a lot more about this, but like Ezra went from his blue lightsaber to having a green one like Luke,
right.
right? And green is supposed to be more mystical, right? You're
Mhm.
more into like that's why Qui-Gon has it. You're not necessarily as much as a fighter. You're more into the wisdom, the prophecies. And I wonder if maybe him getting the green saber and Dave knowing he was going to go to the unknown regions is him becoming more of a hermit and a mystic growing up because he's never able to leave this planet and that he just really dives into the force and what it is. And maybe he comes back super powerful. Maybe he comes back and he's Star Killer and he's just got on a murderous rampage. I don't know, but
I
I'm
really
excited to
hope
see
they.
it.
There's a couple of people on TikTok that have been like, I want Starkiller to be introduced into the canon, and I'm like, can we just not, please?
I mean, any
It's just
excuse to get
me, but
Sam Witwer live action, I'm down with, but I don't want like I don't really need the whole Vader apprentice goes crazy. Is he good or is he bad? Storyline really because it's kind of what they did with Ezra a little bit already.
right.
Um, if you did that in one of these spin-off movies that somebody's making, like if that's what James or Dave Filoni and Michael Waldron from Loki, or not Dave Filoni, if Kevin Feige are doing for their one-off with Taika Waititi,
Hmm.
and it's a story of a Sith back in the day who's on a revenge quest like a Bane or something, that I'm down with. But I just plus you can't name him Star Killer. You can't name him after the base. I mean, I know that was originally Luke's name in the first editions of Star Wars, but like you made that. We're good. We're good. We
Right.
don't need that. Go play the game.
So I got one last question for you then.
Okay.
Now that we've completed the full watch through, how does this stack up to Clone Wars for you?
Good. I'm glad you reminded me because I wanted to bring that up. So for my ranking right now, taking a little break, so I've had plenty of time to think about it with Star Wars content because now we're really to just the movies. Mandalorian won't be as hard to watch because it's shorter. Um, but I think I would go. I think I would go Episode 3, Rebels, Clone Wars, uh,
One
Phantom
and two.
Menace, Attack of the Clones.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
I think
think
is what I'll
that's
do.
I. I'm
Oh,
amazed.
so we watched Solo.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so I would probably go. Revenge of the Sith, Rebels, Clone Wars, Solo. I might flip-flop those two. I can't decide. Clone Wars and Solo. Because I like Solo quite a bit, but Solo has a lot of problems. But Clone Wars has a lot of problems. But definitely 1 is
Yeah.
second to last, and 2 is last for now. But I
I
legitimately might put Rise of Skywalker bottom when we get there.
I still think I'm of the mind that as a whole product, Rebels is a much tighter and better experience than the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I
As
agree.
especially as a story that goes from beginning to end. Clone Wars tends to suffer sometimes from jumping around time wise from like character
More
to
childish
character.
episodes.
Now, don't get me wrong, we get some excellent growth and just character exploration, not only with Anakin, Ahsoka, and even Obi-Wan.
Yeah, you definitely do.
But the highs, those episodes that are the high moments of Clone Wars, I think for me personally, are so high that they just barely eke out some of the high moments that I get in Rebels. But the thing is like they're so. I think the reason the Clone Wars high episodes, I'm thinking of the Umbara arc, I'm thinking of the final episodes, I'm thinking of the Maul arc.
Is the Umbara arc the one with the clones?
That's the one where they're on the dark
I
planet.
love
They're
that
on the
arc so
yes,
much.
dude. It's
so
one
good.
of the only arcs where it's like 4 episodes, and I love all 4 episodes.
And the only Jedi's a bad guy. There's no
yeah,
Anakin really. There's no nobody. It's such a good episode. It should be filler, but it's not. It's elite.
It's one of the best arcs in all of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I can think of a couple other like really high up there episodes, but the problem is a lot of them are just surrounded by like mediocrity or garbage in some cases. Whereas Rebels, it's so consistently good. I personally find.
Yeah. I feel that. I feel what you're saying though, and I think like the action moments in Rebels or in Clone Wars are a higher high. For me, Rebels itches it out because I like the Force mystic part more than I like in Clone Wars, and that's what wins it for me. I think. But
yeah.
So do you go 3 Clone Wars Rebels?
No, I go Rebels Clone Wars. Because again, tighter package.
Okay.
I think it has more high moments. Maybe I'd actually have to like run that one down, but
so
Rebels is tighter experience. So I go. I think I go 3 Rebels, Clone Wars, Phantom, Solo 2.
Okay, that's what I thought you might say.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a little higher on Solo, but that just shows how freaking good Rebels and Clone Wars are, though, that they're just outbeating everything. Even when they have so many crappy episodes, like Clone Wars has so many Jar Jar episodes that are just awful. But now we're getting into like all the heavy hitters: Rogue One, the original trilogy, and then you go into The Force Awakens and Mandalorian, which everybody loves. Mandalorian, Force Awakens. I feel like you and I are both pretty high on, and then we'll get into our crazy, interesting debates. I looked at the other day, real quick. I've got a hard cap this here, but I did look at Kyle and I's original review of Rise of Skywalker a couple days ago, and I didn't realize it's one of our most viewed. Like, I think it's our longest video that has the most views because it's over an hour and it's got like 500 views or something. And it is just me depressed for an hour. It's literally me like openly sad and depressed, and I can't believe it has 500 views. So I'm curious what our review will be. It's just going to be probably more rage. How stupid everything is. But anyway, guys, we got to cap this. Thank you, Tanner, for coming on. Another great episode. Thanks to everybody who watched it. Thank you, Movie Meal patrons. Go get some merch. All linked down in the description. Comment below. What do you think of our rankings so far? What do you think of Star Wars Rebels? All that stuff. And for another happy landing, we are out of here.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.